Hola, ¿qué tal? Lo siento, yo hablo poquito español, so I'll speak in English. First of all, congratulations to Forética for 25 years. I travel the world. Unfortunately, I spend a lot of my time overseas, and I meet a lot of organizations like Forética, but most of them are 5 years, maybe 10 years old. So 25 years is an incredible achievement, and we're really proud and delighted to have you and the team as a consultation group partner here in Spain. As some of you may know, we have about 13 Spanish organizations who are already committed to using the TNFD recommendations, but we have a long way to go. And I think we've seen in the last year why this is such an important issue for Spain. Just in the last 12 months, we have seen Spanish strawberry growers from southern Spain who have been hit with boycotts by German supermarkets and sudden disruption to their business, to their supply chain, because of a consumer campaign in Germany not to buy strawberries from water-stressed areas in Spain, right? And this is just one example. And we have seen in Barcelona, the city has been affected by water shortages. Some of the best food in Spain and frankly in the whole world comes from Catalonia. But that food supply depends on the quality of the natural environment, on the quality of the soil, the availability of the water, the quality of the air. And so we have a lot to play for in Spain. There's a lot of risk to economy and to jobs. But I'm also convinced that there's a lot of opportunity for Spain to be a leader within Europe on this agenda. And in fact, I was late coming upstairs because I was talking to someone downstairs about pilot testing and doing some more work here in Spain together next year. And so I think this is really a space, a topic, in which Spain can be a leader in Europe. And we have seen in the last 25 years that Spain quickly emerged as a leader, not just in Europe, but in the whole world on the topic of renewable energy. And so it just shows I think the opportunity for Spain to really lead on this agenda around nature and biodiversity. What I wanted to do today was just to give you a quick update on why this is so important and why we have to move quickly. And then maybe finish with a few thoughts about the COP16 in Colombia next week and what we should expect. I think the first point I wanted to make to you is the science is getting very, very alarming. I was in New York at New York Climate Week 3 weeks ago, and we had an update on the planetary boundaries. And you can see in the last, 15 years, the rapid acceleration in the decline in the planet's ability to sustain humanity. We've gone from this scenario where we had three boundaries crossed to now we have crossed 6, and I am told we are about to cross 7. The ocean acidification boundary is about to go orange. So we have a lot of pressure on our business as usual. Our way of doing business is going to have to change because clearly we are living beyond the sustainable limits. And this is going to be a difficult transition because it's going to impact every sector in every economy. And of course, we want to make that transition as smoothly as possible. And it doesn't mean shutting down lots of industries. It doesn't have to mean locking away a lot of land for conservation. It's about building back the resilience of nature and then operating within a sustainable space for the planet in order to restore itself and continue to provide what we need from it for our business and society. What does that look like for our business from a business perspective? Well, we know as investors and as business executives that what matters is cash flow, and that gets valued, and investors want nice steady returns. But as you saw, the science is telling us that its ability to provide this flow of benefits into the business model, fresh water, healthy soils, biomass, is declining. So we have a very uncomfortable relationship. And so really the key message here is that the resilience of business depends on the resilience of nature. And that's across every sector and across every country. So I often like to talk about this in the language of finance. Discounted cash flow. Investors think about the future cash flows of the business, but those future cash flows depend on the flow of these benefits from nature into the business. And something is going to have to change. If you think this is maybe theoretical or conceptual, or maybe you think it's 10 or 20 years away, let me give you some examples of financial risk that is happening today because of nature risk. This is some research from the team at Bloomberg. And I would encourage everyone to have a look at this report called When the Bee Stings. And this came about from a conversation with TNFD last year. And the Bloomberg team came to us and said, how can we help tell the story? We have a lot of investors coming to us asking for more information. So we said to them, can you go and write up case studies? You are journalists. We need to tell the story with numbers. And they assembled this report with 10 case studies. And you can see with this very powerful graphic, the size and the scale of the financial risk that has already been incurred by companies because of nature risk. In some cases, in the tens, maybe even $50 billion. So for example, this one in the red bubble here for Tesla, this was the impact on their share price when there were protests and negative headlines about their gigafactory outside Berlin, because their plant in Germany has lowered the water table underneath the facility in Berlin. So not only do they have now worse access to water, but they have impacted the water for everybody in the surrounding area. And even just as recently as 2 or 3 weeks ago, they now have protests almost all the time outside the factory from concerned citizens about the future of their water supply. So you can see the range of companies here. This is a mining company. This is a utility. 3M is the people who make our sticky notes. They are facing long-term litigation because the chemicals used in frying pans and sticky notes, Teflon. Plastics companies, meat packing. This is the Brazilian meat company, JBS. So you can see this is across sectors and across countries. So the good news is the tools are now available for companies and financial institutions to take action. TNFD and our partner organizations are providing these tools, and I'm really pleased to say that next week we will be announcing that almost 500 organizations now globally are using the TNFD recommendations. So that's about 6 trillion in the value of the listed companies, and about over 16 trillion now in assets under management from asset owners and asset managers. And a lot of people don't know where to start, and you start right here. The first thing to do is to do the assessment of nature-related issues. And I'm really pleased to see that we've had a number of Spanish companies testing this approach. We have Acciona on the task force, bringing a Spanish perspective, but also Iberdrola and others have done pilot testing. And this is the internal work to understand what your nature-related issues are. We will be providing more guidance on how to quantify the risk in euros or dollars. There is already target setting guidance available. And then ultimately this is what will appear in annual reporting, in corporate reporting, but also in a transition plan. And next week we will be providing draft guidance on transition planning as well. So many of your organizations might be now developing a net zero transition plan. We now need to be thinking about nature transition plans so that we end up with an integrated approach to climate and nature together. And of course, all of this requires metrics and it requires data. The good news is that the metrics is now, we have now recommended the metrics, so it's now clear what needs to be measured. And we are working with a range of international partners to improve the data access for market to do this analysis. So this landscape is coming together very quickly, and really there's no reason not to get started. A lot of people are saying, well, there's not enough data, the data's not perfect. There's actually a lot of data available. And what we have learned from those who have started is that even if the data is not perfect, they are able to generate important decision, useful information to inform the strategy of the company and the way it allocates capital and risk. So I mentioned before, this is from June. This number is hopefully going to be over 500 next week. I won't spoil the secret. But we have seen very, very fast adoption globally. And you can see the spread of the countries, and you can see the key numbers here. Across industries, 81% of the classified industries, 30% of the MSCI 1500, so these are the world's biggest companies, and also 25% of the world's most important banks, called GSIBs. So both companies and financial institutions. The other thing that's very, very encouraging is we are seeing investors starting to ask more questions of the companies they are invested in. And this is triggering a really fast change of mindset. And then, of course, in Europe, there is CSRD reporting requirements as well, which I'm sure many people in this room are trying to do as well. So there is both pressure from the regulators and pressure from the investors. I actually think the pressure from the investors is moving, other than Europe, is moving faster than the pressure from regulation. And more and more boards and company executives are having to answer questions about how they're managing their nature-related risk, even in the last 2 or 3 years. So I'll stop there. Maybe I can just offer a few thoughts about COP16 next week. I think this is going to be a very important moment to try and accelerate awareness amongst business and finance around the world about the need to take action. We may not end up with a lot of new announcements from government at the COP, but I think this is an important moment to focus more attention on the need for action by government, business and finance, and it has to be coordinated. So I'm looking forward to being in Colombia next week. If anybody is there, we look forward to seeing you. And let's see what comes out of the conversation. But irrespective of whether there is a lot of new developments at the level of policy or regulation, I hope today I've made the case that it's important for business and finance to get started in the best interests of your own business. This is about risk, it's about value. It's not about compliance and about reporting. And what we're seeing now is companies that are getting started are finding ways to lower their risk and improve their resilience to nature risk. And they're also unlocking value in their business. And I'll just finish with one anecdote. There is a company listed in Europe. I won't name the company, but it's a very large company in the consumer goods business. And they have done that assessment work, and they've done their first report. And now the management team is taking action, which is building back the resilience of $1 billion in revenue in their business. So this is not something on the side. This is now right in the middle of their business. So with that, I'll stop there. Thank you again. I look forward to ongoing involvement from all of you at Forética and this community in Spain in the work of the TNFD. And thank you so much for having me again.